6:08. Welcome back to Sunrise. The new retired Captain Umar Aliyu, a security consultant, joins us now to continue our focus on the comments and the SES fight against the insurgents as we are focusing on today. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you and good morning.
Well, interesting comments coming through from Borno State Governor and then the government spokesman responding to all of this. But already we have people talking about, maybe we should even look at it from, first of all, he talked about the insurgents being better motivated than the Nigerian Army with respect to this fight. So what I wonder is there any different meaning to motivation from a military perspective? Because when he says motivation, everybody thinks in what way? What do you think about their being better motivated, as he said?
Well, without holding brief for the army, I'll tell you they are not better motivated than the armed forces or the security agencies. Governor Shatima is a troubled man. Indeed, nobody will go to sleep with that kind of situation in his state, and he is not getting any better solutions. The losses are increasing, and the reason is simple. The federal government has already said the army has the capacity to engage and contain that situation, which is true. But then the balancing act to that statement is there the political will to close that business?
So that's what this is basically about.
Basically, that's what it's about. Let me assure you that the Nigerian Army has actually performed in areas, scenarios, situations that make Borno State a picnic.
Wouldn't those ones be termed to be open warfare, which some are asking, different from guerrilla warfare style, which the Boko Haram insurgents are bringing?
Okay, let me take you close back history. Liberia, there were guerrillas. They were not a conventional army. Liberia is some 110 kilometers of landmass, land and water. Hilly, tropical rainforest, some very difficult terrain. If you want to imagine the forests of Liberia, think the jungles of Umunede. If you enter the jungles of Umunede on any given day, visibility is limited down to like 5 meters. It's very tasking in Liberia to move heavy equipment and logistics. Liberia was far away from home. We have actually playing an away match, not a home match like Borno State. Borno State is some 69,000 square kilometers, way smaller than Liberia. It's open Sahel savanna vegetation, semi-arid. The ground is hard, so military logistics can move easily. Surveillance, visibility, open. And yet we're not containing it because the bread and butter of politics is standing in the way of the troops.
There are a lot of people that will argue with you on that point.
It's open to argument. Let's hear the argument.
For instance, if you say the bread and butter of politics, the government said something about how is it that we don't have enough intelligence to quell these attacks before they even come? Intelligence gathering. I mean, you on this set talked about intelligence gathering in fighting insurgency in the country.
Absolutely. While the military is not actually free of its shortcomings, I want you to understand and accept one thing. The military is also part of this democratic dispensation. They are subject to civil authority. They are actually servants of what? They are democratic leaders. They won't go where the leaders don't want them to go.
So is it possible the governor doesn't want them to go certain
No,
places?
it's not about the governor now. The governor is already seeing that his state is between the devil and the deep blue sea, and he has opened up to say this is it. Now the average soldier is sworn to oath, so he will not open up to you no matter how bad it gets. He's sworn to oath, and it's not an oath they take lightly. So you're not going to see any soldier anywhere on this planet turning out information to the detriment or that will be inimical to morale or security of his cause to anyone. But I want to assure you that if this were a military dispensation, Borno would have been done and away with swiftly. Issues may arise in the way it was done, but whether the military could have been able to do it or not would not have been in question at all. And let's not forget, it's this same army we're talking about that held sway in Bakassi until at such a time when we decided to give Bakassi out and pull out. It's this army we're talking about that has done jobs outside of home that is now there. Yes, the army is not like perfect. Yes, there are certain issues involved that have to be looked at in the army, but it's not about whether they can do that job or not.
But we now have a formation in that area, having declared state of emergency for some time now. The military is said to have gained some upper hand, and now that formation is expected to have whittled down all of these attacks. But as we were speaking today, we understand people are tweeting at us saying that Bahama, as at 3 a.m., was also witnessing some sort of attack or some activity. And then you heard the Borno State governor saying, look, they were at Konduga, they can attack for about 4 or 5 hours without any interference. So one wonders, is it still political will?
Exactly. Let us do some critical thinking here, Chamberlain. Our security agencies have a reputation for responding swiftly when they have inter-agency clashes or military-civilian clashes. We've had stories of soldiers in minutes swarming a location because one soldier was hit or slapped. That's unofficial. It's not allowed. Where has this swiftness gone now that it is official? Why would it take 5 hours to respond if the leash that's on the dog has not been cut? These guys are leashed. That's my own take. I stand to be, challenged on this. But from what I am seeing, the entire thing, the entire gamut of this problem is beginning to tend towards a lack of political will to handle this problem. Let's go back in time. The same Boko Haram was supposed to have been declared FTO, Foreign Terrorist Organization. Why was this request not obliged? And now this same Boko Haram that would not be declared an FTO has done something else.
But
if we were to turn back
they have just been not long ago, by the U.S. Congress or something.
I'll have to check out on that. I don't think I'm that current in that aspect. But you saw the dilly-dallying that addressed that initially,
but subsequently, I think
it went through. The reasons for that are not things we can go into here. Okay? Other than that, take a very good look again at Borno State. Okay, I won't go into the details again, not on air.
Just a moment,
Yes.
Captain. I remember then that questions were asked at that time. The late former NSA was still very much alive, and I think it was when it was being proposed that Boko Haram be declared a foreign terrorist organization. We had the privilege of having him on our program. I think that was one of the questions we posed to him, and he explained that if that was done, that it was feared that Nigerians were going to suffer unduly during travels. Is that part of the reason, even though you said you don't want to go into it, but does that form part of the reason why there was reluctance to declare Boko, or there was lobbying to stop the United States from declaring them a foreign terrorist organization then?
Well, I tell you something, that is one of the considerations. But do Nigerians have it any easier traveling now that that was considered? No. It doesn't change anything. It can only get better.
So if you aggregate the statement of the Borno State governor, and you also, with that of the, it was seen a rebuttal of some sort by the presidency, what comes to your mind? Do you think that we will make progress? Because it would seem that there is some element of politicking here, because at the end of the statement of the presidency, there was a caveat that said something to the effect that, political parties will have to close ranks. Do you think that this is actually about politics at the end of the day?
At the end of the day, it's about Nigeria. But then where we have what you call political myopism, if I may put it like that, a lack of political foresight, people begin to jump on the bus of ethnicity, religion, and what have you. They just do that to score political goals. It's about Nigeria. Let me just explain this mildly to you. If you want to really get the impact, the exigent nature of this situation, don't go saying the Boko Haram is a Muslim Christian thing. If you say it's a Muslim Christian thing, a Muslim somewhere may get pussyfooted because he doesn't want to see himself as rising against his religion. If you say it's a Muslim Christian thing, a Christian somewhere could also become pussyfooted and say, look, it's a Muslim thing. But the moment you say it's a Nigerian thing, when we begin to see it as an affront against Nigeria, every Nigerian from Borno to Prt1 is on the same page. Now the Boko Haram just exploits these loopholes. Boko Haram is not actually, I dare say Boko Haram is a picnic compared to what the Nigerian security agencies have been able to pocket in the past. But then, it's like a dog on a leash.